I posted on Facebook a question, basically what are the traits you see as most important for a leader? And some of the leaders, as far as answers, were communication was a big one, character, integrity, ability to communicate vision, and willingness to learn. I think those were all great. I've been trying to, as I've gone through just kind of more leadership roles over the course of the last decade or so, I've been trying to think through what are the things that maybe I need to work on most. And so I read a lot and watch a lot about entrepreneurship and leadership and just try to figure out what are the things that I'm hitting and what are the things maybe that I'm not doing so well on. And there absolutely are some things I'm not hitting well on. I thought I would start today by talking about one thing that I picked up that may not be in everyone's original answer or just right off the top of your head, and that's just self-awareness. And so for me, it took me a little bit to figure out that there are some things I'm really good at and there are some things I stink at. And so typically, if I'm doing the things that I stink at instead of the things that I'm good at, not only do I get frustrated over time, but they're not done as well, and maybe the final product isn't good. And so for many leaders, they think they've got to do everything, and so they try to do everything, and in fact, they have a hard time handing the keys over to somebody else to let them do other things. One of the most freeing things for me was to surround myself with talented people and then just start handing keys out and saying, okay, you know I'm terrible at this, them nodding their head and agreeing, and saying, I think you're really good at this, and so why don't you lead out in this? And so the hard thing about self-awareness is that also there's some blind spots that can come up, right? And so I've sat down with a lot of business people and they'll tell you how good they are with their business and what kind of success they've had, but they're maybe not that great on the accounting side of things. And for me, that may be an area that I need to work on. And so in the accounting side of things, I might need to reach out to somebody else and say, hey, I want you to take this over. But a lot of times we have a blind spot about the things that we're really good at. And so just kind of thinking through for you, what are the things that you really excel in? And do you think others would agree with you in the idea that you excel at those things? And what are the things that you could probably either use some development in, or what I would say is delegate out to somebody who's gifted in those areas. I used to talk in my psychology class a lot about just the idea that we're all dealt cards, genetic cards, and some of those things. You may or may not have some that you love, and you may have some that you hate, but those are the cards that you were dealt. And obviously, you can't play a card that you weren't dealt. For instance, I had a insurance test the other day that I had to take in order to get my life insurance moved up to a different condition or whatever, so I can get a discount. And it said I didn't reach that condition because of my cholesterol, my weight. Hey, COVID was hard, and my height. And, the weight and the cholesterol I'm looking at and said, those are controllable things. But the height, I'm 5'10". That's kind of average, but I really can't do a whole lot about that. I was given that card, and that's not a card I can really play with. And so some of our genetics and some of our leanings we're able to play more with and have more success developing those. If it's something that really it doesn't lean toward me as far as my personality and the things that are kind of long term, what I enjoy doing and what I find success doing, I probably need to start panning that out to somebody else. Well, how do you find blind spots? Well, the only way you find blind spots, number one, you make some mistakes and you have some frustration and some tension. And so if there are some areas that you have some frustration and tension in, then maybe it's because that really isn't your gifting and you're trying to do that and you need to delegate it off to somebody that you need to. The other thing would be community, right? There's nobody quicker to share what your blind spots might be than people who walk in close relationship with you. Your family is going to be one of the first that say, oh, you're not really that good at that. They'll laugh at you about something. And so maybe you're in a community of people at work that they're able to share that with you and say, hey, that's really not an area you're very good in. I was meeting with my team and I made the statement. I said, I know that I'm somebody that sometimes is over optimistic. And they said, oh, absolutely. And so they kind of took it on as their role to make sure I saw all the negatives and the downsides of some of the decisions I was going to make. Because in my world, I'm going to roll the dice and I'm just, feel like it's going to work out many times. And so that optimism may be a little bit more of a blind spot for me than I think. It was nice to have them say, yeah, that's one of your blind spots. Here's some things you're not thinking about. So, finding areas of tension and then finding a community of people that are going to tell you, hey, these are the areas maybe that you need to work on. So one of the things I've done at Steadfast is I've been able to, for my team, first of all, develop people who do certain things within our team and do them really well. and hopefully pair them up with buyers, sellers that fit great with them. And also, I think hopefully find agents and help develop this is what you do well. Let's really work on that, and let's kind of increase your self-awareness of the things you don't. And let's either develop it or let's delegate it to the point where you can be successful. I'll be posting a couple more of these, so just stay tuned, and I'll kind of post just some thoughts on leadership. I don't have it all figured out. I definitely love to be on this journey as we figure it out together, though.